Lowe's knows that free makes everything better. That's why our rewards members get free standard shipping on the things they need and want, starting at Silver Key status every day. Savings for rewards members add up fast, so why wait? Join for free today. Lowe's, we help, you save. Not available in Alaska and Hawaii. Exclusions and more terms apply. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Details at lowes.com/shipping terms. Subject to change.
Hey, this is Brian, wanting to let you know that the Movie Film Podcast now has a Patreon. If you head over to patreon.com/moviefilmpodcast and hit subscribe for only $5 a month, you'll gain access to a special feed where you'll find every commentary we've ever recorded and every episode we do moving forward, ad-free and without any interruptions. We are very grateful for our sponsors, and our free feed isn't going anywhere. But we wanted to offer an option we believe is the most satisfying way to enjoy the show. No ads, no interruptions. Your subscription will also go a long way in helping to support us and helping to sustain production of this show. So, if you're interested and able and want to enjoy the most satisfying way to enjoy the podcast, please head over to patreon.com/moviefilmpodcast and subscribe. We'd be very grateful. And now, on with the show.
Welcome, friends, it's the Movie Film Podcast. The Movie Film Podcast, enjoy the show. Zachy and Brian are talking about movies. Movie Film Podcast on the radio.
Welcome to Movie Film. It's episode 325, brought to you by Mr. Boy Productions. I'm Zachy Hassan. I'm here with Brian Hall.
Hey, how's it going, Zachy?
Hey, it is going. You know, I was saying I'm just enjoying my extended post Labor Day layover.
Yeah, I mean we're into September.
Yeah,
like summer's over. You know,
I know.
Or at least movie season speaking.
So
right?
that's very much the case as we sort of look at the calendar for the next several weeks. Yeah.
We got a good one to talk about today. It was one that I don't know that you and I were even sure we would catch, but
that's true.
I think it's gonna be a fun discussion.
I agree. Yeah. But you've seen a whole bunch of other stuff too since then.
Yes. So I think it was the last regular episode I was talking about cutting the cord with cable, right?
That's right.
And I mean, longtime listeners already know this, but basically I love the ability to flip channels. And so I've hung on to cable, although it was YouTube TV more specifically, but it's basically cable. I just love the idea of, okay, it's 10 at night. I'm not going to go to bed just yet. You know, I don't want to go to an app and know what I want to watch or just look at the limited amount of things that are on this app and then have to go to another app and see what they have on that app and then go to another app and see what I don't know. I just love being able to go through and see like, oh, we're in the middle of, I always use the example of Clueless, which we just did a commentary for, but I love it being like 10 at night and seeing there's 20 minutes left of Clueless on TBS and going, oh, okay, that's perfect. And then, you know, wrapping that up before I go to bed. So it was really difficult for me to get rid of it, but you know, you and I have both said this as, you know, YouTube's TV specifically, their monthly price just kept going up and up and up and up. And I found that the last several times that I had turned it on to flip channels, I wasn't stopping on anything. I was just flipping and going, oh, I guess there's nothing there. And then going to something else. And then I thought, what am I paying for exactly?
You were paying for the option to stop on something.
Exactly. And it was just happening less and less. And so I finally made the decision to cut YouTube TV and have nothing but streaming apps. And so it's funny because I did that while I was away. You know, I don't think I talked about this, but my grandmother passed away. And so I left town. I was with my family for a while. And, you know, did the cord cutting. And then I came back and it had been a long week and I got back from the airport pretty late at night and I plopped onto my couch and I thought, man, I'd love to flip channels right now, but I couldn't. And so, but this is what I wanted to talk about, which is kind of interesting. And again, this is probably a conversation that was interesting 7 years ago to most people. But I've since discovered the apps Pluto and Tubi.
That's right.
So I was aware of these and I had even turned them on before, but to me, the only thing I saw them as was like Netflix, but with commercials, which is funny because now Netflix has commercials. But
yeah.
anyway, I was like, all right, well, I mean, what else am I going to do? So I turned on Pluto, and to my surprise, Pluto is kind of like having cable. Like it has dozens and dozens and dozens of channels that are playing, and it's, classic television. There's like I Love Lucy, and then there's another channel that's just South Park, and also like a Comedy Central kind of thing, and old sitcoms and Growing Pains and family. There's like a Family Ties channel, and and then you get to the movie section, and it's just a bunch of movies that are programmed showing at a certain time, from 7 to 10, from 10 to 12. And I was shocked at the selection. I mean, literally, I wrote it down because I thought it was so crazy. It was like, at the same time, it was RoboCop, Raging Bull, Wayne's World, Good Will Hunting, Almost Famous, 48 Hours, Punch Drunk Love, Double Jeopardy, Chasing Amy. I was like, well, I would stop on any of these. But they have the ads, right? And the only thing that sucks about it, unlike most cable providers or YouTube TV, which was my favorite of those, you can't DVR anything, and you can't skip the ads, right? You can't like fast forward through anything, like pause and then eventually fast forward through stuff. So it was a little like, I haven't had to do this in a while. You like really actually sit in advertisements.
Well, that's really the takeaway from all of this, right? We've been on this whole journey from broadcast linear television to streaming to all this whole thing, and then we wound our way all the way back to linear TV with commercials.
With ads. Yep, exactly.
But bonus, now you can't skip past the ads.
I know.
Hashtag progress.
I know. I literally thought I would give anything for a TiVo right now. I mean, it's literally going back 20 years in time.
Yep.
But that's the thing. I mean, it's still doing the majority of what I want that experience to do. Like, I was flipping and I was like, oh, wow, the last 30 minutes of Steven Spielberg's War of the Worlds is playing.
I picture Brian just curled up in his blanket with a big smile on his face.
Yeah, this is kind of my bag,
Really funny.
And, or you can use it as inspiration. So it was like, I saw that Chasing Amy was on. I didn't really want to watch it with ads, but you had mentioned it recently, I think maybe in the Clueless commentary. And I was like, oh, that might be interesting to revisit. And so it serves as sort of an inspiration, something I wouldn't have thought of. Actually, that's a bad example because you mentioned it. But like the Dead Zone or something like that, where I'm like, oh, I've never seen the Dead Zone. And so then you go over to your app where it doesn't have the ads. And
yeah.
So it's not exactly the same, but I did find like, oh, this is kind of cool. I kind of, it's scratching mostly scratching a certain itch I particularly have. So, and Tubi is, I haven't really gotten into that one, but that seems more like a streaming service. There is a live component to it.
There is. Yeah. So, well, most of these on-demand streaming services also have a fast, right, free ad-supported streaming as part of it.
Yeah.
So Peacock has theirs.
Yes. Right.
Amazon has Freevee.
Right.
And there's a bunch. I mean, yeah, it's just we're in a different time, and if I can lean into the parlance of this show, it's not a better experience than Froggy, just different.
Well, so I found myself, I go to Pluto the most often because to me it has the most options. It feels the most like I'm going back.
Pluto is the Viacom Paramount one, so that's all that stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting, and I'm finding my way, and I will continue to check in and let you know how that goes. And I should also mention, there was part of me that thought, oh, well, I'm going to miss the networks occasionally, just like for the news or like NBA playoffs or just certain sorts of things. I would like to at least be able to have access to them. So for $20 on Amazon, I bought an HD antenna, and I was shocked at how, again, this shows you how long it's been since I've actually used an antenna, but it looked like HD, like crisp, like beautiful. And so all of a sudden, I have the networks again. And then there's basically like Pluto. There's other sort of live-ish TV options playing films and old sitcoms and stuff. But here's the thing. So I was like, oh, very cool. Now I have ABC, NBC, CBS, whatever again. That's cool. It's nice to have those. And I thought, oh, yeah, and SNL's coming back in about a month. That'll be nice. But then it occurred to me, oh, but I can't DVR it. And I can't flip or, skip through ads or anything. So I was like,
yeah. Yeah. Well, and with SNL, you can watch it live on Peacock.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So like that's one of those shows that they live stream.
Well, and then if you have the patience, you can just watch it the next day, I suppose.
Yeah,
right?
I'm at a point now where pretty much the next morning I'll just go to the SNL YouTube channel and just watch the individual sketches.
And that tends to be my mode also, unless it's like I'm coming back from something pretty late and then I just want to wind down. I'll cue it up.
Yeah,
that night's SNL. But typically it's like a Sunday morning with coffee kind of affair these days.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's the other thing too, like the stuff that I'm used to kind of watching from TV. Like I've been watching this season of South Park or like Below Deck or something. Now I'm just used to like, oh, instead of Monday, now I watch it Tuesday, like the next day on a streamer or whatever.
So I mean, like you're getting habituated to the new normal,
Yeah, and most of the other shows I watch are on streamers anyway. Like Platonic, I've been watching on Apple TV Plus, and that drops, on the day it drops.
Right,
so it's a whole new world over here, and just thought I would.
Brian, dispatches from Brian, circa 7 years ago.
Yes.
Speaking of South Park, this season has been pretty nuts.
Oh yeah, like they're going pretty hard.
I kind of love that Paramount handed Trey Parker and Matt Stone, what was it, like $1 billion?
Yeah, like $1 billion. Yeah.
$1 billion with a B. Like the day after they fired Stephen Colbert for presumably going too hard after the Trump folks, and then the South Park is just like, all right, we will gladly take your $1 billion and make you regret ever being born.
Right.
It's a lot of yikes. It is funny to me. Like I was watching this week's episode,
the Labubu
one, and there's so many different things happening, but I think for me my biggest laugh was them playing JD Vance like he's Tattoo from Fantasy
the way that it was framed.
Yeah.
And he just kind of enters frame and like just stands there for a little bit with that expression on his face, like, hello? Everything about it was cracking me up.
I'm just like, man, we remember when South Park started and it was just good, clean fun about Cartman getting an anal probe.
Right.
And now, like, we're almost 30 years later, here we are.
I mean, that is kind of interesting, right? Because, it did used to be the adventures of these kids.
Yeah.
Right. And some of my favorite episodes to this day are, especially the ones involving Butters. Butters and Cartman. And there was a moment where they were doing nothing but commenting on, news stories of the week, where I did find myself kind of like wandering away for a little bit because I was like, I'm getting enough of this. And it seemed like their MO also, they just stumbled into this pattern where they would lock in on one idea, like one kind of funny take on something, and they would just repeat that take for 22 minutes.
Right.
But I do feel like they have this like renewed vigor right now.
Yeah.
And it has been, pretty fun.
Hey, you give me $1 billion, I'll find renewed vigor too.
Well, I also love that they're spending those billions to restore their favorite childhood restaurants.
Right.
Casa Bonita and which, by the way, that's a documentary that's on the Paramount Plus network.
You had mentioned that. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but I'm sure if you put Casa Bonita, it'll come up. But it feels like an HGTV, episode basically following Trey Parker. Literally, I mean, touring Casa Bonita in its current state a couple years ago, seeing what a disaster it is, and then people will be like, "Oh, here's the AC units. You want to take a look inside?" And they look horrifying. There's just like every horrifying thing you do not want to be breathing, just resting in there. And they're like, "All right, we'll tear that out too." And you just see the total of the repairs going up and up and up, and millions and millions and millions of dollars. But then it's just like, and then he gets a new influx of a billion. So he's going to be all right.
Yeah.
And apparently, it's you have to get reservations still in advance to even visit that place. So that
Really?
place is doing well also.
There you go. They did all right.
Yeah.
By the way, real quick, I wanted to mention when we talked about your adventures in cord cutting. I know some people listening might be like, "I don't remember that." That was in one of our bonus Patreon episodes.
Oh, yes, that's what it was.
And that one is available to listen to for free on our Patreon page. So check that out.
Yeah. We wanted to offer that as a little bit of a taste of some of the stuff that we occasionally release as bonus content over there on the
just
Patreon.
us gabbing.
Yeah. So if you haven't heard it, feel free to hop on over there and check it out because, like Zachy said, that one is available to everyone.
So what else is going on, Brian?
Well, aside from our main review, I've mostly been watching classics, catching up on classics that I hadn't seen before. And so I wanted, it's so funny. I'm such a booster for Regal Cinemas, but I'm going to do it again because basically this month, for the month of September, they are showing classic films almost every single day this month. Everything from, I'm going to talk about it for a second, but I saw Paper Moon this past Monday for the first time. They're showing Godfather on Saturday, Citizen Kane on Sunday, The Thing, Forrest Gump, Psycho, Cinema Paradiso, which I've never seen and I'm very excited to watch for the first time, Casablanca, 2001, There Will Be Blood, Close Encounters. Just every single day they're showing like a classic film that I would love to see on the big screen. So I was sort of like, all right, buckle up. Like all the people at Regal are going to be seeing my face a lot. But so yeah, I wanted to put that out there. I don't know if it's at every Regal. I was looking out of curiosity because I knew I was going to be talking about it. And specifically in my area, the one that I go to is doing this, but there's another one that's 1 or 2 cities over that doesn't appear to be doing this. So people may want to check the app. But
interesting. Okay.
I'm sure there's at least 1, 2, 3, 4 things that people are going to find personally they want to go check out and see again on the big screen. So I would recommend that. I wanted to put that out there for people to know about.
Very cool.
But yeah, I just want to talk really quickly about I saw Paper Moon for the first time. Peter Bogdanovich, Ryan O'Neal, Tatum O'Neal. Have you ever seen this movie?
I have not.
I hadn't either. I'll just say the logline real quick from IMDb. During the Great Depression, a con man finds himself saddled with a young girl who may or may not be his daughter, and the two forge an unlikely partnership. And I don't remember how this got on my radar, but it was something that I had DVR'd off of like Turner Classics, thinking, oh yeah, I want to watch this. It's, like 90 minutes. It's interesting because it's from 1973, but it's in black and white, and it very much, just even in the filmmaking, resembles a movie from 1940. It almost feels like a genre exercise or something.
Yeah.
And I was just very curious about it. So what better way to watch it than on the big screen? And I really enjoyed this movie. It was super charming. I'd recommend it to anybody. I think it's rated PG. It's like a real, I realized that I have a real type with these movies, because I was just talking about Matchstick Men, which is Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, very similar.
Right, he's playing a con man father figure type to this younger girl, and now I'm watching this con man, taking this younger girl.
What does this tell us about you, Brian? I don't know. What are you revealing?
I don't know, but I love him. I find it so endearing in the way that these characters, they're so different, but as they go on these. Well, speaking to Paper Moon, it becomes sort of episodic, where he's going to bring her to her. She's just been orphaned, and so he arranges to bring her to her aunt, like a couple states over. But along the way, he's gonna do these cons to generate money. But he finds that she's a pretty good asset. She's a good little actress. She's very perceptive, and she's like making him earn even more money as he cons his way. And so they become this cute, unlikely duo. And there's just these episodes and people that they encounter along the way, and they, influence one another. And it's very cute. And it's a really fun film. I was glad I got to catch it, especially that way on the big screen with an audience that was laughing with it and going, "Aw," together. It was very, very cute. And I'm sure you can find it on most streaming services, but I wanted to also plug something I try to plug a lot, which is Canopy. It's an app that you can use your library card and watch movies uncut, no commercials, for free. So I saw that it's playing on Canopy if anyone wants to check it out there. What else? Oh, well, we had mentioned that Spike Lee has a movie out called Highest to Lowest.
That's right.
Starring Denzel Washington, and it's a remake of a Kurosawa movie. And as far as I understand, it was in theaters for 2 weeks. I checked my app, and it's still playing next week for me in theaters, but it is just released today, September 5th, on Apple TV Plus for people who want to check it out there. But, I think I've mentioned this before also, but a huge cinematic blind spot for me is Kurosawa. I'd never seen a Kurosawa movie before. And I mean, there's just Seven Samurai and Rashomon and all these towering classics that I really, really want to catch up on. But with Highest to Lowest coming out, and I had planned to watch that, I thought, well, I was going to be on an airplane. What better way to break the seal and finally watch a Kurosawa film? And it was on HBO Max. I had to think about it. Now, I don't remember what their apps are called anymore. And so I downloaded it, watched it on the plane, and the premise, it seems a little spoilery, but this is the premise of the film, and it's in the first act. But basically, this executive at a shoe company, his son, these people call and say, we have your son, and you have to give this amount of money to get him back. And it's going to bankrupt him if he does it. But then come to realize they didn't take his son. Accidentally, they took his chauffeur's son. And now he's being held for ransom. So now this executive has to decide, would he still bankrupt himself for his chauffeur's son? I mean, how delicious is that? Like,
it's great.
And anyway, great plot. It's from 1963. It's a bit of a slower burn than most modern films, but it just is very captivating. I mean, just the performances are great, and just the filmmaking, the blocking makes these static shots become captivating, the way people move from one spot to another and the way that they're interacting with one another. And it also becomes a bit of a procedural, and you start following these detectives as they're trying to figure out who this person is, who took the boy. And it's just really cool, the clues that they use and how they deduce things. I think it's about 2 hours. Like I said, it's on HBO Max. I definitely recommend High and Low, and I plan to check out Highest to Lowest this weekend. So, have you seen it? High and Low?
I haven't seen either of them.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be interested if you check out either, actually.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely going to watch the Spike Lee one.
Yeah.
Any Spike Lee movie, I will check out.
Exactly. Yeah. At the very least, it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
An interesting watch. And then this one we can talk about together. But a week ago, they re-released Jaws into theaters for its 50th anniversary.
Yeah.
Which I'll just say really quickly, because I want to hear about your experience. But I saw it on an IMAX screen at the Chinese theater. And oh my gosh, it was gorgeous. Just the restoration is
it's pretty
stunning.
impressive. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, I had seen this in the theater before when they released it as a 3D experience, maybe 2 or 3 years ago or something like that. And I really enjoyed that. I don't like 3D, and it was really well done and didn't put you at a distance. It actually successfully pulled you in. But this, on this IMAX screen, and it was huge. I mean, the shark felt big again. I've seen this movie so many times, but when the shark busts into Quint's ship, it really did make you lean back in your seat because it was coming right at you. I loved it. I love the experience. And I would say if it's still playing at a theater near your place and you haven't caught it, it is absolutely worth heading out to go catch.
Yeah.
What was your experience like?
Well, I saw it when they released it 3 years ago in theaters. And,
okay.
That was, I don't know what the context of that release was. It was, they had put E.T. back out into theaters, I think, just so they put Jaws out too as like a companion to that.
Maybe a Fathom thing?
It was not a Fathom thing because it was at the AMC.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, regardless, so I obviously any chance for me to watch Jaws on the big screen, but I had taken all my kids this year. my kids are like, oh, let's go see it. Like they wanted to experience it again on the big screen.
Mm-hmm.
And so this time I did the 4D thing.
Okay.
Yeah, which I've never done before. And I was like, well, this is a movie that I've seen enough times that I want to mix it up a little bit. So nothing crazy. Like we weren't getting dunked in water and,
Did it splash you at all? Because, I mean, it does have a water component.
Not the one we saw.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah.
you can. I know you could have the option if you want to turn it off.
Oh,
So-
see, I didn't. Well, I to the best of my knowledge, there wasn't anything like that, but in my theater, but maybe there wasn't. I just didn't know.
Mhm.
But I kind of loved how the movement of your seat was sort of in sync with whatever was happening, and when you're on the Orca, it was kind of going swaying back and forth.
Interesting.
Some cool stuff, nothing crazy. So like when Quint is bit in half, it's not like you're getting splashed with blood or anything like that. But it did add something extra, so again, for me, it's like, well, this is a movie we've seen enough times that, zazz it up a little bit. But I would imagine just to echo the point you were making in an earlier episode, if it was my first time watching a movie, I'd probably be a little distracted by it, but for this, kind of perfect.
Dude, that's great. I mean, that's the thing. I have a complicated relationship with it because I think if someone
with 4D, not with Jaws.
No, yeah. No, with 4DX, my friend actually, his first, when he presented it, was 4DX or IMAX.
Okay.
And I was like, IMAX, no question. Like, my first reaction is probably going to be to say no to 4DX.
Right.
But that isn't to say that I haven't had good experiences there. I remember the last Hunger Games movie was actually pretty good.
Yeah, you mentioned that. That's right.
Yeah, because it was a little more subtle. There was snow in the movie, and it kind of gently snowed in the theater when that happened. And I remember the best experience I had with 4DX, and it's so small, but this woman was inside a building, and then she walked through a doorway to the outside, and this gentle breeze went through the theater, and I really felt like I'd stepped outside. I mean, that's the stuff that's pretty cool. But I've watched other things, excuse me, that are a little more violent, like shaking you in your seat, punching you in your back. And I don't know.
It starts sounding like a Saturday Night Live sketch, doesn't it?
Yeah. But on the other hand, I did see Twister, the old one, the 1995 one.
Okay.
And of course, that one was pretty intense. I mean, there was lightning. It literally rained on us from the ceiling. The seats were going all over the place, but it kind of worked.
Right.
I don't know. So I mean, it could even have to do with the person who programmed it. If it's a little more.
That was my thinking. Yeah.
Yeah. So
like I was wondering with Jaws, like did Spielberg sit in the chair and sign off on all the stuff that they had to do?
I wondered that too, actually, because I thought the thing that I saw, the presentation was so beautiful. I wondered. But I was like, he's seen this stuff so many times and he has so many things that get re-released. I wonder how much of this stuff actually gets put in front of him, or if he just, I don't know.
Yeah. But that was my question. But regardless, it was a good experience. Obviously, we skipped watching, normally on 4th of July, we watch Jaws, and I knew it was coming back to theaters. So I was like, let's just hold off and we can see it in the theater. But afterwards, my 11-year-old was like, oh, can we watch Jaws 2? And I was like, yeah, sure, and so he and I watched that one, and I would say that the best time to watch Jaws 2 is when you're 11 years old and you've just watched Jaws 1.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Because he just sort of took it at face value, and he's like, yeah, I liked it. I liked the first one better, but this was good, and I'm like, yeah,
sure,
that's about right.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice. I like that. Well, real quick, I want to ask if you had heard, speaking of 4DX, about, there's this upcoming movie, The Long Walk. That's
right. The Stephen King, right?
Yes. Yeah. So it's some dystopian future, and like these kids are basically forced to walk until they can walk no longer. And if you stop walking, you get killed.
Okay. And
apparently there are immersive experiences where you can watch this movie on a treadmill.
Yeah, no, that's a no from me.
I was like, I'm kind of interested. I don't know. It sounds
it's a hard pass.
Yeah. I don't know if this is something that they're really going to be doing most places. It could even just be like something they did for like influencers.
I don't need to be living the dystopia.
Yeah. Have Mark Hamill behind you just yelling in your ear.
Well,
Keep
maybe
walking.
in that case, maybe.
Yeah, I just thought that was kind of funny.
I have seen the new season of Peacemaker, Brian.
Oh, okay. Season 2, right?
Season 2. Now you have not seen the first season, right?
No, I haven't.
Yeah. Now Peacemaker, the first season. See, this is an interesting one because this show sort of straddles two different versions of the DC universe.
Mm.
Right. And so that's sort of interesting because it gives us a window into how James Gunn is incorporating prior aspects and what he's not. And so I won't get into it too much. I will say this is very much existing in the post Superman 2025 world, so it's picking up on plot threads from there. Meanwhile, it's picking up also on season 1 of Peacemaker, which again was part of the old Zack Snyder version of the universe.
Interesting.
So it's funny because the very first episode of the season starts with a little recap, and it says previously in the DCU. Right. And
Okay.
and as we know, the new version of the universe is called the DCU, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in essence, everything that's recapped is considered part of the DCU.
Mm-hmm.
And this is all like a bunch of fanboy hugger mugger, I'm sure. But like they do this thing where the first season ends with the Justice League shows up.
Mm-hmm.
And the Justice League is, we see silhouettes of Superman and Wonder Woman, and we have Jason Momoa as Aquaman and Ezra Miller as the Flash.
Mm-hmm.
And so
we see them.
We see them, and they have some dialogue, and there's a joke about how Peacemaker is spreading this rumor that Aquaman has sex with fish, and then Aquaman's like, I wish people would stop, spreading that rumor, and then Ezra Miller's like, it's not a rumor, and he's like, F you, Barry, And so at the beginning of this season, they do the recap and they show that it's not the Justice League, it's the Justice Gang.
Oh, interesting.
So they did a little like ADR where a character is like, can you call in the Justice Gang instead of the Justice League?
Mm-hmm.
And then we see a silhouette of Superman, a silhouette of Supergirl, and we see Hawkgirl and Guy Gardner.
Oh, funny. And
so they've like retconned that instead of a rumor about Aquaman having sex with fish, it's a rumor about how Guy Gardner has a puke fetish. And so they just again, it's just in it's before the episode even starts. It's in the recap. This is a little retcon, right? And I was like, I was tickled by that because I'm like,
yeah, sorry.
Well, this is like if you've read DC Comics for any length of time, this is just par for the course. This is just a Tuesday when it comes to DC because they're retconning shit all the time.
Sure.
And you have a scorecard of what's still canon and what's not. And I'm like, oh, hey, so we're just doing that in live action. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty funny to me. But it's been amusing to see sort of online just people getting really frustrated trying to figure this out. And I'm like, oh, precious child, This is they're just doing in live action what they've been doing in the comics for decades.
So they didn't even say some sort of like multiverse. Oh, there was a lightning storm by a generator.
Yeah, no.
Fermilab.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea is like some of what happened before it counts. Some of it didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Once we refer to it, consider it canon.
Which, by the way, I mean, obviously I watch a lot of this stuff, so I'm a little bit conditioned, but I just feel like we're in a moment now where I see that and I go, all right.
I mean, really, right? Like how much do you want to get worked up over this stuff?
Right.
So the series, it is extremely R-rated.
Yeah, you even just talking about the puke stuff or whatever. It's like, oh, this is Gunn sort of like almost like he was half holding his breath while he was writing Superman and doing that. And then
really?
He can be like, oh, and just sort of let what he's been a bit pent up out.
In the first episode, there's a full-on orgy scene where you see everything.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So don't gather around the kiddies.
It's
Don't
kind
be
of
like, hey,
interesting.
kids, did you like Superman?
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of specific examples, but it does feel like, well, I mean, I just Star Wars or Marvel or whatever. It does feel like when they do their shows, they don't push things. Because there was the Netflix Marvel that felt a little bit more R-rated, right? Your Daredevil and everything.
Yeah.
But it was sort of understood that if you watch something with the Marvel logo at the beginning, whether on Disney Plus or, in the theater, you're going to be in the same arena in terms of like age appropriateness, right?
Right.
So this is interesting that this is just sort of without even any sort of warning or pronouncement. It's like, hey, you like Superman? We got this thing over here too. And then you don't exactly know what you're stepping into, it sounds like.
I mean, I think that personally, I think these brands should be pushing out in these directions more.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should just be able to encompass multitudes.
Sure.
I think that like Marvel. Well, they got their Daredevil. They brought back Daredevil. That's pretty R-rated.
They got there. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and they got this Marvel Zombies coming up. That sure doesn't look like, it's going to be TV PG.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, good. I think that what parent is going to watch Peacemaker with their kid? I would offer a bad parent. Right? Because
it's funny you say that because I was actually thinking more than you think.
Yeah, and all of them bad, every single one. I mean, do some due diligence.
Well,
like watch it first.
Sure. Yeah, I mean that's what you would hope most parents would do: vet things for their kids and whatever.
Yeah,
but who knows?
Real quick, I wanted to mention also, so the Peacemaker season is playing out right now. I think we're about 3 episodes in. By the way, have you watched Alien, the Alien TV series?
No, I meant to, and then this month got a little busy.
Yeah.
And then I even thought like, well, I'll binge it at some point.
That's kind of where I'm at. Yeah.
And I'm hearing sort of tepid things about it. So
I'm hearing reactions spanning the spectrum.
Okay.
Because I have people who are singing its praises week upon week.
Okay.
And then people are like, God, this thing is just dull as a dish rag. So I don't know.
Well, I'm very curious to hear what you think. Maybe it'll be easier when there's, 6 in a row. I can just sort of do it at my own pace.
Yeah. The critic who reviewed it for the Chronicle said it's the best thing that's happened to the franchise in decades. And that has me kind of interested.
I do love the idea of stories. Like, I don't need it to be a monster movie every week. I like the idea of there being stories set in this universe, in particular, I guess, on Earth, which is kind of interesting. So I'm cool with that. Like, I'm cool with exploring the world a little bit and it not having to be, thrill a minute per se, as long as there's good characters and intriguing ideas.
The only thing I don't know anything about the show except that it's set before the first film.
Right.
But it's set on Earth, and that has me confused a little bit.
Sure. Yeah, right.
As far as how we're just talking about canon and stuff, but like how does it fit in,
Yeah, and Noah Hawley, who I tend to like.
The Fargo, right?
Fargo. I really liked Fargo, the TV show. I was skeptical when it started. I want to say there's like 4 or 5 seasons, and I've really liked maybe 3 of them.
Okay.
Pretty much liked one of them, and there was one that most people seem to not like, and I haven't gotten around to that one. But I would say by and large, pretty good.
Yeah.
Very weird. Very. I don't know how, but they've managed to remix Fargo in a weird sort of way with new characters and new ideas, but still feel like, that feels kind of like the movie Fargo without repeating itself. And so it's, I would say it was a successful experiment. So I find him pretty interesting. And so seeing how he, remixes or builds out Alien, that universe, I'm curious.
One last thing I wanted to mention, and this is a show, it's a miniseries that's starting on HBO this weekend as we record this, and it's called Task.
I don't know.
And it's created by Brad Inglesby, who did Mayor of Easttown.
Okay.
And it's kind of set in the did you see Mayor of Easttown?
No, I'm familiar with it.
Yeah, with Kate Winslet.
Uh-huh.
So this it has Mark Ruffalo as the head of an FBI task force that's trying to find some criminals who are doing these smash and grabs in various people's houses, and it's essentially, I mean, it's like an 8 episode investigation, or 7 episodes, excuse me,
Mhm.
and I like the show. Like, I would recommend it more for the performances than the criminal storyline.
Mhm.
Like, I didn't find that particularly compelling, but I think Ruffalo as the main character, I mean, he's just great. Obviously, at no point does he say they knew, which is disappointing to me.
I was going to ask. Yeah. I was
so
going to
he
request that from you.
he plays an ex priest
Okay.
who has lost his faith, and he's working as an FBI agent, and there's a reason for that. And I think that arc that they give him is really interesting. He's such a great actor, and I think a lot of these actors, the older they get, the more sort of character they have on their face. I think Ruffalo is one of those guys. And also the criminal that they're pursuing, his name is Tom Pelfrey. The actor is Tom Pelfrey, who he was on Ozark.
Okay. I didn't watch Ozark.
Is very good. He was very good on Ozark from what I saw, and he's very good here. So both of them are really good. I think the upside is it's only 7 episodes,
Mm.
and I which is kind of nice, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's like, it's not a season long thing, and so in that sense, I think the arcs that they set up in the beginning pay off pretty well. I watched it all at once. I don't know how it'll play week to week.
Mm.
But it is being dropped every week on HBO, and I would recommend it, if nothing else, just for the performances.
You now that you describe it, I do remember seeing a trailer for this
Okay.
at least a month ago, maybe even more. And I remember thinking, yeah, it just looked, I couldn't put my finger on exactly why, but it did feel compelling. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, that's something that maybe I would give a shot, just because maybe it's what you were saying. The performances were drawing me in.
Yeah. As I was watching it, I was like, I would love to see the Ruffalo arc in support of like more of an episodic procedural,
Mm-hmm.
where we're going from case to case, but we've got these, I mean, again, kind of what you see on a traditional network show,
Mm-hmm.
where you've got these character arcs that we're following, but you're not living or dying based on how interesting the case itself is,
Right.
But still, I would still recommend it. It didn't blow me away,
Mm-hmm.
but I did find it compelling, and I think the performances make it worthwhile. Honestly, this is just a month or so after that other show that I mentioned called Untamed, with Eric Bana.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Which is on Netflix. And the truth is, the two of them kind of make for an interesting double header, because again, kind of the same drill. Eric Bana playing a very similar character to what Ruffalo is playing. He's an officer, and he's got this personal trauma he's working through. And for me, it's like sometimes you just want to watch these great actors just really make a meal out of this.
Oh, totally. I was just Googling really fast, because when you were talking about it being more about the character and less about the case, I wondered if it was based on a book or something.
Right.
And it doesn't look like it is, but according to the showrunner, this was inspired by his real life uncle, who used to be a priest. So it's coming from somewhere, the character study of it.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, well, that journey is always very compelling to me, right? I mean, I think that's why I think you and I both really liked Mel Gibson's character in Signs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? Like, what does one go through when they're confronted with, their faith being shattered in some way and having to reclaim it?
It's a great example, because when I think of that movie, that's almost what I think about first.
Yeah. Right.
Before the aliens.
Yeah.
It's the lead character's personal story, and an alien invasion is the backdrop to his his searching and his growth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so fun. This past week in my class, I was talking about standard narrative structure, and you start at a state of equilibrium, and then some question is introduced, some enigma, and then that leads to disequilibrium, and then we're trying to get back to equilibrium, right?
Mhm.
And I was like, that's structure. It's a pretty sturdy thing, and you can look at it and just apply it to just about any film. But what I kept trying to emphasize to my students is we're talking about the emotional journey.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you need to figure out.
Right.
Like, why do we care about Luke Skywalker, whoever? It's because you've set an emotional journey for him to go on, and it involves him going through all these actions, but it's because we're invested in how he grows as a person or whatever.
Absolutely. And I said growth regarding Signs and Mel Gibson, but I would say that character, it's more about healing. And that's just really compelling and heart-wrenching and, satisfying to watch sometimes. And actually, I mean, that you can talk about that with Caught Stealing today.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I was surprised how much it was a character story.
Very much so. Yeah. Hey, we got some listener letters though, Brian.
Mail call!
I believe you have a letter for me.
18,000 letters, all addressed to Santa Claus.
You got mail. So, hey, here's a note we got on Facebook from Marshall Perry. And this is in regards to your adventures with cutting the cord, Brian.
Oh, all right.
So he says, oh, man, I lived vicariously through Brian Hall and how he would watch movies just because he came across them on cable randomly.
Right?
He says, I've been paralyzed by choice for over a decade, and I miss the bygone era of simply watching what came on. I learned to love so many movies simply because I was forced to give them a chance. By the way, thanks for putting that feature presentation soundbite from 90s VHS tapes before your reviews. Hearing that again after so many years and knowing exactly what it was is why I'm still listening to every episode of this podcast for 10 years.
Oh, thank you for that.
This we've talked about this before, about how, like, you and I and our generation, like, we watched Gilligan's Island because it was on.
Yes.
We watched the Munsters and the Addams Family and all this stuff,
The
right?
Brady Bunch.
Brady Bunch, exactly. It predated us because that's what was on, and I look back and I'm so grateful for that because it's part of the mosaic of my life,
Yeah.
And we really don't have that because what Marshall says about being paralyzed by choice, man, that speaks for so many of us.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like my brother, he uses my voodoo, and I'll be like, hey, you should watch this movie, or you should watch this movie. For 10 damn years, I've been telling him to watch Arrival.
Okay.
The Denis Villeneuve movie.
Yeah.
For 10, and this is a movie I know he will like. And he's like, I know I would like it, but every time I go to your voodoo, I see all the things and I just forget what I'm looking for.
Yep.
And he said to me, he's like, would you mind curating a list for me of things you think I would like?
A little personal video store for him to.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, like just this, and I've done that for Amina, and I was thinking, I was like, this is, this is the trade-off, right? Like back in the days of like we're talking pre-cable, you had 3 networks.
Yeah.
And that made things easier.
Uh-huh.
Because it's a 1/3 chance you're going to find something.
Mm-hmm.
Or you'll just turn it off. So 1 out of 4, Yep. And paralyzed by choice, that's so applicable because how many times do we just scroll through Netflix and just say, I don't even know. You know?
Yeah, it's, and the difference is, yes, you are scrolling through Netflix, but you're just looking at tiles with pictures on them. But when I was a kid, I mean, that's how I discovered They Live. It was 11:30 at night, and I was flipping, and channel 50 in the Chicagoland area was halfway through They Live, and I saw a guy wearing sunglasses, and when he put them on, suddenly normal people look like aliens, and I was like, "Whoa, what's this?" But I might not have clicked on the tile.
Yeah.
if I was flipping through, Netflix or something. And Spinal Tap, that's how I first saw Spinal Tap, flipping
Wow.
channels, back in the day.
How
And
funny.
I don't know, there's just something kind of magical about it.
Yeah.
But the paralyzed by choice thing is interesting. And also the other thing he said, where he forgets why he opened up the app in the first place, what he was looking for.
Yeah.
I think I've talked about this before, but I have, in the past several years, the app I use most on my phone is the Notes app. Like I have a to-do list that I write every single day. I even put lunch on there just for the satisfaction of being able to cross off things as I get through my day. And it's very helpful and satisfying. And then people will be like, oh, tomorrow is such and such birthday. Like, just it's habit now. I put it in the Notes app, and then I don't forget these things. And one of the notes that I keep is it's called To Watch.
Nice.
And so when people recommend things to me, I have a whole long list of recommendations. And then I also have things that are sort of at the top of my mind right now, things that I feel like I'm kind of in the mood for. So there's maybe like 5 or 6 or 7 things there. So when it's nighttime and I'm not sure what I want to click on, I look at that app or the note, and I'm like, oh yeah, actually I'm kind of in the Paper Moon mood tonight, versus like the more violent gangster movie or whatever. And I find that personally very helpful.
Well, there you go. Hopefully Marshall finds that helpful too.
Yeah.
Here's a note we got from Rob Kelly, and this is in reference to our commentary track for Terminator Genesis, a film that neither you nor I had a particular affinity for before we hit play or after. And Rob says, it's a testament to how much I like your commentaries that I listen to this, because hot take incoming, I think there's exactly one good Terminator movie, the first one.
That is a hot take.
That is a hot take. But this was such a fun listen with you guys trying to stay positive under what had to be challenging circumstances. A great listen.
Wow. Thank you, Rob.
So exactly one good Terminator movie, Brian.
I was going to say, I mean, you could even say maybe a hot take is that the first one is the best one.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh, well, I can see why you might feel that way, but just only the first one.
Yeah.
That's the only good one. Wow.
Them's fighting words. Now,
but
not with us. We say, hey, live and let live. But
yeah, sure. But I was gonna say I saw the second one first.
That's right.
And so I mean that's like a Brian Cannon event seeing that movie. But I can imagine possibly if you saw the first one in '84 first, and that got seared into your psyche for several years. The sequel didn't come till several years later.
Yep.
Then thinking that as good as the second one is, it just didn't have the same impact on you. I can imagine that.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I can't. What am I saying? But I appreciate you, Rob.
Yeah. I saw the first one first. I think we've talked about this. But again, I was 5 when I saw the first one.
Sure.
And, so I was still my wet cement was ready and willing for whatever the second one had to offer. Thank you for that, Rob. Here's a comment we got on YouTube, and this is the great thing about having our stuff on YouTube is people dig real deep into the archives. So this is from Luke's Mail 24, and this is in reference to our commentary track for Superman 3. Which it has been a minute since we did that one.
But I remember it. I remember recording that because it was so much fun.
So he says, awesome commentary as usual. I remember even as a kid seeing this movie in the 1980s, and even as a 5-year-old thinking, what are you doing? It is still one of the most baffling creative decisions ever to me. You have 2 massive blockbusters, and you decide to center the third film around a comedian? A hugely popular one, I grant you, but still, it would be like centering Avengers Doomsday around Dave Chappelle. I kind of want to watch that now.
Right.
I get humor is subjective, but have you ever heard anyone say Superman 3 is hilarious?
Right. That's a good point.
That's very funny. To me, this film is one of the biggest missed opportunities in history, and for that reason, probably in the minority here, I even prefer to watch the much more hated Superman 4. Even with that film's massive faults, I can go, well, at least its heart was in the right place.
I agree with that take, by the way. Of Superman 4.
I don't know that is a minority take. I feel like that idea, like, well, at least it's trying to tell like a serious story.
Yeah. It's like a good bad movie.
Yeah, I think they're both bad in different ways.
Yeah,
so.
or maybe a fun bad. Maybe
fun bad. Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
good might be.
Yeah.
a walk too far.
Right.
But I think both of them have their pluses. Foremost among them being Christopher Reeve is just acting his ass off under what I can only imagine are very trying circumstances.
Yeah.
Speaking of Superman, here's a note I got from Sandy. They said, "Hey, Zachy, love the show and have been listening for more than 10 years. I always enjoy the way you and Brian take a balanced approach whenever you're discussing your reactions to movies and don't get too bogged down by all the fanboy shit that we see on the internet. That said, I have a question I was hoping you might be able to clarify for me. I see so much discussion online about how Superman, the new movie, the 2025 movie, is a big hit and Man of Steel was a big flop. I have to admit this is a little confusing for me. Man of Steel made something like 670 million worldwide, and Superman is topping out at just over 600 million. Granted, I'm a big Man of Steel fan, and I definitely liked that one more than the new one, but I don't think I'm biased when I'm asking why the disparity and how these numbers are being reported. Hope this is something you can tackle."
Yeah. I'm actually curious to hear you.
Okay, so first of all, Man of Steel is like retrospectively being called a flop.
By who?
by folks. See, this is the problem. You got folks with agendas on either side, right?
Yeah.
And this is look, Man of Steel is not a flop.
Yeah.
I mean, it just wasn't. It did very well. Now, you might have had people inside the studio who were hoping it was going to touch $1 billion.
Sure.
But that was we've talked about this before. That's a weird metric.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I'm sure because 2013. So it was shortly after The Dark Knight Rises. So they were like, "Oh, Christopher Nolan, it's going to make Dark Knight money." But like, why would you think that?
I forgot that Christopher Nolan, his name was on Man of Steel.
Oh,
I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah, I mean, they used that to really promote the shit out of it, right?
Right.
And that was unreasonable, but at the time, making $670 million, well, that was a big deal, and it did well enough for them to announce the follow up. Within whatever it was, like 6 weeks,
mm-hmm.
right? Because it came out June of 2013. By July, at Comic-Con, they announced Batman vs Superman.
Right.
Now, I'm sure their thinking was, if we put Batman in the sequel, then it'll make $1 billion.
Right.
Didn't do that either. That's a separate discussion, right? But Man of Steel by itself, that did well.
Mm-hmm.
So this idea that Man of Steel flopped and Superman is not a flop is not true. They both have done okay. Now, as far as Superman's box office, I haven't looked into this, but I'm fairly certain. Well, we can look at it right now.
Yeah.
Sure.
I was just thinking. Yeah, I don't have any of this pulled up, but I'm curious now.
I'm guessing that if we were to look at the difference in numbers, there would be a China-sized difference. Right? Yeah, look at this. There we go. So this is from Forbes. It says Man of Steel finished at 63 million in China.
Okay.
So there we go. Right there, China is not interested in superhero movies anymore.
Right.
So what we were seeing throughout the 2010s was Chinese box office was rescuing
mm-hmm.
American movies.
Mm-hmm.
That happened with Terminator Genesis, as a matter of fact.
Yep. And there was a lot of effort, right, on U.S. filmmakers' behalf to appease them, right?
That's right.
Wasn't it Iron Man 3?
Yep.
Had like an entire scene that wasn't even in the U.S. cut, but it was in the Chinese version that featured.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, yeah.
Like Chinese actors, and it also featured Chinese products.
How funny.
Right?
Yeah.
Like a soda or something. But we didn't see that. But just to try to get the Chinese money,
yep.
Marvel went the extra mile.
Yeah, one of the Transformers movies had a big China set piece.
Yep.
Right. So there's the distinction. As far as Superman, look, what's the most up to date box office as we're recording this?
The current one?
Yeah.
Domestic 352 million, worldwide 612.
612. Look, that is, if we live in a world where 612 is considered a flop, then I don't even know what we're doing. It's not a flop.
A flop? No, not at all.
Do I think Warner Brothers hoped it might do better? Yeah,
Totally.
probably. But I just think the landscape for superhero movies has changed drastically, right?
Landscape for superhero movies and just movies.
That too. Yeah.
I mean, it's something that's taken me a very long time to catch up with. I continue to be shocked when I look at the box office numbers every weekend, but this is because they're so insanely low. Like, it'll blow my mind when number 10 at the box office could be less than 1 million. I'm like, this is unprecedented. But the fact is, it's kind of becoming precedented. Like, we're in a new era.
We are in a new era. And here's the other thing to think about is, we were just talking about The Dark Knight Rises, which broke $1 billion. Batman Begins made about 370 million worldwide. Right. And this is the thing, right? Because the box office is only one part of this. Because Batman Begins did okay relative to his box office, but what was it trying to do? I mean, it was coming back after 8 years, and Batman and Robin. There was a lot of reclamation that had to happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then word of mouth on it was good, and then it continued to play on home video. And I have a feeling that whatever happens next with Superman, and you tell me. I mean, just anecdotally. The feeling from people, like random people who have no real connection to this, or like, man, I really enjoyed that movie.
Yeah. I mean, my parents loved it.
See, and that's something that is sort of intangible,
mm-hmm.
but I think it's going to matter going forward.
Speaking of a new era, we were talking about this recently. It's interesting that the box office numbers are, for some reason, the final statement on a film's success.
Yeah, right. We're talking about this,
for many people, right? Because yes, Superman at this point, which is now streaming, 612 worldwide, got it. But it's also now it's streaming. You can rent it, you can purchase it, and that's going to make millions and millions more dollars. But that doesn't get tacked on to this number that we see on Box Office Mojo. When it's playing on airplanes, when it's streaming on TBS for the next 40 years. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it will continue to accumulate money, but the number has stopped for some reason with box office alone. So, I mean, you think of something like Office Space, right? Where that was a movie, if you look at its box office, I mean, it was really, really bad, but that's a movie that's never gone away. And it was an enormous, one of the top, or was it? I'm thinking of Tommy Boy actually now, where Tommy Boy didn't really perform in theaters, but then they learned that it was one of the best-selling DVDs in Paramount's history, or at least home video releases in Paramount's history. And I think it was David Spade was talking about it. And he's like, you mean like alongside The Godfather? They're like, yeah, no, like Tommy Boy sits alongside The Godfather in terms of profitability for Paramount through home video. So life doesn't end for a movie's success once the box office numbers have shut down. And especially in this new era where movies can still be playing in theaters, but they are having a meaningful moment in this PVOD era where it can be a month later. Superman is still in theaters, but now it is also available for people to watch at home at a premium price at $30 a pop, or to rent for $20 a pop. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. It's just funny that we use these numbers, the box office numbers, as the end all be all for these discussions, when it's it'd be much more interesting if there's a running tally.
I think that would certainly be more truthful.
Yeah.
Right. I will say, with regards to Superman, I think I mentioned this before. I mean, I purchased the digital copy, so I have it available at home.
Mm-hmm.
And Amina's like, I want to watch Superman again.
Mm-hmm.
And she never watches movies more than once in the theater.
Mm.
And I'm like, okay, well, we can watch it, we can watch it before we go to bed. She's like, no, I don't want to watch it at home. I want to watch it in the theater. We own it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, fine. So we went to the theater.
Yeah.
and it was great because it was like a Monday afternoon. So it was just the two of us. We had a private screening of Superman.
That's great.
But I mean, that's kind of my point, right? Inaya, who's 8, she's watched it 3 times already. Once in the theater, twice at home.
Wow.
She doesn't. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, this stuff is anecdotally very interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because for whatever reason, that movie is speaking to people. But again, just to reiterate, look, Man of Steel did well enough to warrant a follow-up announcement right away. And so that movie did not flop, nor did Superman. So we don't need to pit these against each other. Believe it or not, it's possible to like multiple versions. It's not revolutionary.
I mean, that's the other thing too, where it is interesting just to sort of compare notes a little bit and then move on. But it's just, at what point, like, why do you have so much invested in this?
That's I've said this so many times. Unless that money is coming out of or going into my pocket, I do not care. It's just a movie that I either enjoy or don't enjoy.
Yeah, and maybe that's another thing. I mean, being fans as long as we have. I mean, there was probably a moment where I was a little bit more invested in this and interested in the volley discussion about what was successful and what wasn't. But at this point, I'm just like, I don't know what it doesn't gain me anything. Like, I'm not getting points off of its box office.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, I can be rooting for something I like to be successful so they'll make more.
Yeah.
For sure. But otherwise, like, it just feels like a spiraling thing that will go nowhere.
Well, with that in mind, I mean, while we're on the subject, we do have a little bit of a headline about a potential follow-up to Superman.
Extra, extra!
What a scoop!
So this got announced just earlier this week. Kind of surprised. I was honestly surprised that they came out with this so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But I suppose it's a testament to the performance of the movie.
Yeah, well, so they announced in July 2027, we'll be getting Superman, Man of Tomorrow.
Or I mean, it seems like it's just called Man of Tomorrow.
Oh, I see. Oh, you know what? I looked up the old animated version.
Right. So that which is a good movie, by the way. It's an animated movie. Yeah.
Will this be inspired by that? Is this a story that was in comics first that is being adapted?
Well, here's what's interesting to me is that what James Gunn has said in the past is, he was working on something that involves Superman, but is not a straight ahead sequel to the movie that just came out.
Okay.
And then this gets announced, and somebody asked him online, is this sequel in addition to that other thing you said? And he said, no, this is that thing. This is not really Superman 2. To which I said, thank you for that clarification. Which only makes things even more confusing.
Right.
So this was released online in addition to a piece of artwork by Jim Lee with Lex Luthor wearing his green and purple power suit, alongside Superman holding what appears to be a screwdriver. And so when he said, and so I'm just looking at Deadline right here. So DC already has Supergirl bowing on June 26th of next year. Mm-hmm. And then we got Man of Tomorrow coming in July 9th of 2027. So we got 3 years in a row of super shenanigans. But my thought is this. When he says this involves Superman, but is not a Superman sequel, that makes me wonder, is this a Lex Luthor movie? And by Man of Tomorrow, is he referring to Lex Luthor? Mm-hmm. That was my thought.
Does that sound like what the older film is about? I mean, does this resemble that?
That animated movie? No, that's just like a Superman origin story.
That's just a general title, Man of Tomorrow.
Yeah, because Superman, that's one of his names.
Okay.
He's the Man of Steel. He's the Man of Tomorrow.
Like
he's the Man of La Mancha. I think that's also one of the title.
That's funny.
So the title is like generic enough to mean anything. But what I'm drilling down on is the fact that he's like, this is not the Superman sequel.
Mm-hmm.
Which, what does that even mean?
it's kind of cool. Like Dono. He doesn't feel beholden to making sequels the way that we know them. He's just got the stories he wants to tell within this universe, and hopefully they're good enough that we get used to something a little different.
See, I'm going to sound old-fashioned here. I'm like, can we not do this all the time?
Not all the time. Don't get me wrong, because we've talked about this with Man of Steel, where then you get Batman v Superman and whatever, but we never got a proper Man of Steel sequel,
right?
And that bums me out,
right?
So I mean, I definitely want. I don't know what he has in store. I don't know if Superman just sort of comes in and out of this thing, and it is a Lex Luthor story. Hopefully, it's good. But see, I definitely want another Superman.
This is my point, right? Like this is some semantic shenanigans that filmmakers do, where they're like, well, it's not technically a sequel.
Sure.
It's like Tim Burton said that about Batman Returns.
You know what's funny, by the way? Just you doing that voice, I was like, is he doing Tim Burton?
maybe unconsciously, yeah. I don't really consider it a sequel. It's like, bro, it's a sequel. Come on, like, what do we do?
Right.
It's like it comes next sequentially, and it has all. You know what I mean? It's like I don't really consider Jurassic Park 3 a sequel.
Right.
At some point we're just talking ourselves into a circle.
Right.
So we don't know anything as far as what to entail. But here's my only point. I think a Superman sequel, which puts us in Lex Luthor's headspace, that does sound kind of interesting to me. I don't know.
I'm into it. Yeah, for sure.
There is a great miniseries from maybe like 20 years ago called Lex Luthor, Man of Steel. And it's entirely from Lex's point of view.
Mm-hmm.
He's again, right? Everybody's a hero in their own mind.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. And so it's just his perspective. And here's this alien who shows up with all these powers, and Lex Luthor's a human being, and he's standing up for human achievement.
Right.
It's a terrific story.
I think maybe it'll be in that vein.
I would be down for that. Yeah. And certainly, the character as depicted in that miniseries, very, very similar to the Nicholas Hoult incarnation.
All right. Well, I'm into it. And also, I was listening to the Smartless podcast, and James Gunn was on it, and he was just talking about, he wasn't making a point of it, but he was just talking about writing Superman and then writing season 2 of Peacemaker. And then now there's this new sequel thing coming out. And it was like, man, like if you ever want to feel bad about your time management, this guy is a workhorse. It's incredible. His output,
That's very true. Yeah.
Yeah. And on top of that, running DC, what is it called? DCU now?
Yeah.
DCU, that sort of executive side of things, also directing this. So it's not like he just is reading a bunch of scripts, and he's reading other people's scripts, of course, too. Right. For the other DC films, and he's in pre-production on his next movie. And just where does he get all the hours in the day? It's pretty amazing.
What's kind of nuts, by the way, with regards to this Superman sequel / is that it will come out before the Batman Part 2.
I was just going to bring that up. Yep. Which is scheduled currently to be released the same year, October 1st, 2027.
Right. So it'll be a few months later. So the Batman came out during the Mesozoic era. I'm going to say, I don't know when. It's been a while, right?
Yeah, right. We're getting a Clayface movie before we get the Batman 2.
I forgot about that. Wow.
Yeah, which is, what universe is that in? Is that in the, in quotes, the Batman?
No, I
universe?
think that's
in
That's in the
right?
DCU. Yeah.
I gotta be honest. When I heard that we were getting a Batman and Superman movie in 2027, I got excited. Like, well, what's this new Batman going to be like? And then I saw that it was this one, the Matt Reeves version. I was like, oh, right. I am interested in that, but it does feel a little bit like, ooh, I don't know. Do we want to kind of even things out here or get everything on the same page?
By the time the Batman Part 2 comes out, so that's 2027. So it's going to be 6.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So we're basically bumping up against the length of time between Batman and Robin and Batman Begins.
Was that the same distance between Terminator and Terminator 2?
That was 7 years. Yeah.
Okay.
So pretty close.
Yeah.
Look, I will watch it, but I do wonder, just in a broader sense, like if they kind of missed their window for the sequel.
Yeah. Well, and just most especially as they have done a reset.
That's right.
Right. So it's nice, I guess, if they're going to let Reeves continue to do his thing. But I do wonder, it'll be interesting to read the book in a couple of years, what the thinking is, because it doesn't seem like the most pragmatic thing to do. But,
right.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, well, I suspect that this is a conversation we're going to be revisiting at some point. So anyway, 2027, you got Avengers: Secret Wars, you got a Superman movie and a Batman movie. So,
Wow.
I guess we're going to test the hypothesis that superhero fatigue is a thing.
Yeah, I'm very curious for the new Avengers.
Very curious
how that's. Yeah. Have you been hearing those rumors and things?
Which one?
Coming from the sets from Avengers, where it's like
so apparently there was like a heated argument, let's say.
Yeah, between two big actors is what we're getting.
And what we know is the two actors were not Robert Downey Jr. or Ryan Reynolds.
Right.
That's the only thing we do know.
Like someone made a comment, I think in jest, but it was taken poorly.
Yes.
By another actor, and it led to having to blow up the schedule so these people aren't together any longer. Which is just, I mean, you think of all the money they're already spending. It's incredible.
You picture Kevin Feige like, do I need this right now?
I know.
After the year he's had,
I know. As if this movie also just isn't the undertaking of the 21st century to begin with,
I know. I was actually thinking about that. I was like, there are going to be so many people in the industry rooting for that movie to fail.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's a lot. Yeah. So drama.
Yeah.
And once we know anything, we'll come right back here and report it like the catty little gossip mongers that we are.
I was gonna say we'll dish. That'll be an extra little bonus. Dish.
Yeah. Who do you think it was? Hey, here's some news, Brian. A little sad news I wanted to mention. Graham Greene has passed away.
Yeah. You sent me a thing.
At age 73.
Yep. Apparently of natural causes.
Natural causes, and we were just singing his praises earlier this year.
Mm-hmm.
He appeared in Die Hard with a Vengeance, and when we were watching that film in our commentary check, we were both sort of like, what a great character Graham Greene plays.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He is of course known for other roles. He for me, he got on my radar having played Kicking Bird in Dances with Wolves.
Yep, same.
Tremendous. Amazing performance in that movie. And he had been in a whole bunch of other stuff too. He was actually, just speaking of Marvel, he was just in the series Echo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. In terms of Native American actors, one of the most visible.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say, if anyone doesn't know him by name, if you Google him, you're going to go, oh,
yeah, that's exactly right. So he was somebody who, just seeing him, it was like kind of reassuring, like, oh,
mm-hmm.
Good,
Yep.
He was also in the final episode of 1883, the miniseries.
Mm-hmm.
He plays the Native American character who sells the land that becomes the Yellowstone Ranch to James Dutton,
mm-hmm.
which is a nice. If you've watched the entirety of Yellowstone, you see the importance of that scene.
Yep.
I saw that Kevin Costner paid tribute to him on Instagram. Kevin Costner, again, having directed him in Dances with Wolves. He says, a few things come to mind when I think of Graham Greene and our time together on Dances with Wolves. I think of how willing he was to learn the Lakota language. I think of my joy when I heard that his work on the film was recognized with an Academy Award nomination. And I think of this scene in particular, and the scene in question is when Kicking Bird and John Dunbar, played by Kevin Costner, are first trying to interact with each other. when he was able to establish so much about the relationship between Dunbar and the natives with so few words. He was a master at work and a wonderful human being. I am grateful to have been witness to this part of his lasting legacy. Rest in peace, Graham.
Oh, that was nice.
It really was nice. So just another, a terrific character actor, and we talk about character actors all the time. They are the glue that hold this whole joint together.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever they leave us, there's a little less glue.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Here's another story, Brian. I thought this one, I should say, since I clocked this as something we should discuss, between then and the time we started recording, I've gotten multiple text messages from people who clearly know our show very well.
Yes. And what would that be about?
Well, as it happens, this story is The Magnificent Ambersons.
Finally.
So, for those of you who don't know, the Magnificent Ambersons is a film that it has kind of a storied history. It was Orson Welles' follow-up to Citizen Kane, and it's generally considered one of the greatest movies ever made.
And that's saying something, right?
That's saying something because it exists in this really severely truncated studio scissored form.
Right. Well, I was just saying, I mean, to follow up what many people believe to be one of the greatest movies of all time, Citizen Kane.
Touche.
Then to make your second movie, and they're like, this is also one of the greatest movies of all time. I mean, what a run.
And so the film as it exists, and of course it's become kind of a running joke on this show where I'll say like, oh, this movie, it's good. I mean, it's not the Magnificent Ambersons, but it's good. And so I appreciate that is sort of our shared parlance with our listeners,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So this story is fascinating in that it ties together two of the things we end up talking about a lot on this show: A, the Magnificent Ambersons, and B, the encroaching use of AI in a form that is slightly troubling.
Right. Well, yeah, sorry. I think I kind of cut off the anecdote you're trying to make about Ambersons, which is to say it is thought of as one of the greatest movies of all time, but it's almost surprising and a miracle that that's the case because Orson Welles had an original cut he felt good about, but then the studio took it out of his hands, chopped out 40 plus minutes of it, tacked on a happy ending he didn't like.
Mm-hmm.
And that released version happens to be the version that everybody admires.
Yeah, and it did tank when it came out.
Right.
So this is another Citizen Kane situation where it was only appreciated after the fact. And so the quest for the lost 40-some minutes of Citizen Kane is, I feel like
of Ambersons, yeah.
Did I say Citizen Kane? Sorry,
yeah.
of Ambersons is kind of legendary at this point. I feel like that could be a movie all on its own,
Yeah, it really could. Because I mean, people think there could be, portions of it in Brazil. It's sort of like a worldwide hunt to find this lost footage, but many believe it was destroyed as like a space saving measure, right? Like the studio just wanted to free up some space, and so they destroyed.
Yeah, and so there was a presumption that Wells had his own copy of the footage, but it's never been recovered.
Yeah, and film from that era is notoriously volatile.
That too, yeah. So here comes AI to solve ? This mystery.
Yeah.
Here's the story that like I said, just broke today via Hollywood Reporter, and essentially we have a situation where there's a company called Showrunner, which is an AI company. It's owned by Amazon. And the plan is for it to reconstruct the missing 43 minutes of the Magnificent Ambersons. And just to delve into the whys and wherefores here, it says here, the endeavor marks the tech's further encroachment onto Hollywood as it eyes the exploitation of AI tools embroiled in controversy over the possibility they were created using copyrighted materials from creators they could eventually displace. So the effort won't be commercialized because Showrunner hasn't obtained the rights to the film from Warner Brothers, Discovery, or Concord. If they see a marketplace for it and a path for it outside of an academic context, then of course they have ownership of it. The goal isn't to commercialize, but to see them exist in the world after 80 years of people asking, might this have been the best film ever made in its original form? And so using whatever information they have, so specifically we have a guy named Brian Rose, who is a filmmaker, and he's spent the last 5 years recreating 30,000 missing frames from the movie. He's rebuilt the physical sets. using 3D models, pinpointing camera movements to match with the script, set photos, and archive materials. And by his thinking, he's reconstructed the framing and timing of each scene to serve as the foundation for the recreation. So it's meant as an academic exercise.
Yeah.
Using AI, using Wells's notes to rebuild the film as it would originally have existed.
I mean, that's an important factor there. I mean, calling it an academic exercise, it's interesting. You know what I mean? Like, I think what would irk me is if someone were to say, we did it. This is the definitive version that Orson Welles wanted the world to see.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, at this moment, it sounds to me like something in the vein of, I'm sure you've seen those YouTube videos where somebody takes the lightsaber duel from episode 4.
Yes.
And adds a bunch of CGI flim-flam into it.
Which I think is very interesting as an experiment.
It looks freaking awful, let me just say.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like, oh, that's okay. But like I would never consider that canon or
exactly. I've had people send that to me, be like, this is so awesome. And I defriended them instantly and blocked.
I just took a sip of water. You know what? Just getting to that really quick. I really thought it was a cool idea. The problem was, and it sounds like these people are going to get around that problem. They didn't try to match the style of A New Hope. They suddenly turned it into like a Michael Bay movie.
In the midst of
episode 4. The scenes that they recreated through whatever it was, AI or whatever. But it was a cool idea. They were basically trying to take, you have the Phantom Menace Duel of the Fates. You have this crazy acrobatic Jedi fight. And then when you go back to A New Hope, the initial fight scene between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi feels a little slower, right? So this person was like...
Tap, 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 as they're...
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. And, Obi-Wan does like a strained sort of twirl, like, kind of.
He's arthritic after several decades.
Give him a break. He's been living on a desert planet, dehydrated. So, but this person was like, well, what if we could up the fight, make it look a little bit more acrobatic like in the earlier films?
Yeah.
Interesting experiment. I thought it was kind of cool to watch. I wish they had tried to match the tone and camera work a little bit more closely, and I think it would have been more successful if they had done that. But yeah, it's an interesting experiment. I don't know. Wait, so what do you think about this?
Well, so I have two thoughts, right? Like on the one hand, the quote about Orson Welles when he learned that they were going to colorize Citizen Kane. This was TNT, I think, and he says, "Tell Ted Turner to keep his goddamn crayons off my movie."
I like that quote.
Right?
Yeah,
that quote lives rent free in my head.
Mm-hmm.
So there is that. So we know how he feels about people mucking with his film. On the other hand, his film comes pre-mucked.
Sure.
Right. So you wonder, like, I mean, how would Welles feel about this, given the fact that the extended material has been in fact lost to the ages? Would he at least welcome the opportunity for it to exist in some form?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, see, this is the thing too. I mean, you look at something like fan edits, right, where people take movies. One of the most famous ones is Topher Grace took the Star Wars prequels, and made his own cut, which instead of being 3 full-length movies, he, I think, whittled the whole 3 movies down to about 90 minutes somehow.
Wow.
And I would never consider that an actual movie. Right. I just think it's an interesting experiment.
Yeah.
So to me, this lives in that same place. I think I would take this case by case. In this instance, interesting. I'm curious what they'll come up with. But I wouldn't want them then to be like, yeah, but what if in Raiders of the Lost Ark, the Millennium Falcon showed up? And so then they start futzing with that and then putting that in theaters and being like, witness Raiders of the Lost Ark like you've never seen it before. Like that I would not be okay with.
Right. Well, and another aspect of this is we can look at this devoid of context both before and after, and view it as purely benign. And I don't think AI can be viewed that way. Because every use is spinning the ball slightly forward to whatever's coming next, and it's reaching a point where, without sounding alarmist, it's pretty damn scary.
I know. Well, see, this it's such a weird thing. I was just listening to James Gunn talking on the other podcast, and they were asking him about AI. What he was saying was it's happening.
Yeah, so I agree with that.
And so then it's like, well, what do you do with this? And
I want to be very clear. Look, I'm not naive about this, and I'm not a Luddite. I think James Gunn is right, as many people. Look, it is here. I don't think we're putting the genie back in the bottle. I think look, this story makes me curious. Look, as somebody who has seen Ambersons many times, I want to see what they come up with. There is that parenthetical in this piece, though. Hey, if Warner Brothers sees the commercial value in it, then hey, it's up to them. I think that's where we're headed, no matter what.
I know, and I'm realizing even in all the things that I'm saying, this is just too big a conversation. Really, you know what I mean? Like, there's just so many facets to it.
I disagree. I think you and I can button this thing down right now in the next couple minutes. We can print it on a gold disc, send it into space. I think.
Yeah, and then years later, it'll be beamed back to Jodie Foster, and she'll be like, "Dad." Great movie, by the way. If you haven't seen Contact, everybody.
Contact. Yeah.
It's just so funny. I mean, I really seesaw on this. It's like you can't talk about AI in general and not acknowledge that in many ways, where we're heading is going to objectively suck for many people, because certain jobs are going to cease to exist. It's going to significantly augment or replace tasks, specifically for our discussion in entertainment, in animation and VFX and things like that. And I mourn that. I know it will probably make things quicker. I know it'll probably make things cheaper. But heck, man, I look at like The Simpsons and like those first 10 seasons and the squash and stretch that those figures have, those characters. It is soul. And when I look at the newer Simpsons, which is edited still by humans, but on computers, but not every frame is drawn by hand. It's more like puppeteering in sort of a way.
Yeah.
It's missing spark. It's missing a little bit of life. It's missing that quirkiness that makes those first 10 seasons just, charming beyond belief. So I do mourn many creative things charging deeper in that direction. And I can acknowledge that AI can also be a remarkable tool when wielded well. So I don't know. Like I said, it's a huge discussion. When it comes to this stuff, like I said, I don't want it to turn into a Ted Turner sort of situation where it's just like, well, now, filmmakers won't have a say because they didn't have this in their contracts. And we're just going to go in. I mean, George Lucas went in willingly and added a CG Jabba and all that sort of stuff. But I don't want this to be a thing where
that's kind of the thing. We were talking about the episode 4, that fan edit, and let's be real, we were probably like 1.5 steps away from him actually doing that in episode 4.
Oh, sure. I mean, if this existed back then, who knows?
Oh yeah. I think in that sense, the technology worked in the audience's favor, where it just wasn't there to do that.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, hey, if he wants to do that, I have every right to not like it, and he has every right to do it because it's his baby. But that's again,
I just wish he would have hit save as.
but I'm just saying, like with the Orson Welles thing, I do feel like he's probably beginning to spin in his grave at this moment, and that sucks. But again, if as long as this isn't something Warner Brothers is going to come out and say like the definitive version, I'm like, all right, well, it's interesting. But again, I keep talking, but like, I do get a little nervous about what this. So what else do they have in mind?
That's kind of where I'm at. Like, I'm very curious about this, but I'm also very circumspect about what comes next. And you do wonder a little bit, like, are we, people like you and I, people who have this desire to preserve this stuff as it existed, are we the ones that are going to be left behind, by time, by society,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm trying. I don't know if people could probably tell by my rambling. I'm like processing in real time. I'm really truly trying to see the pros and cons of it.
Well, whatever this future looks like, it's not the Magnificent Ambersons.
and nothing ever will.
There you go. Hey, we have a brand new release we wanted to discuss.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it on the other side of this.
And now we're pleased to bring you our feature presentation.
Hey, Caught Stealing is in theaters right now. And you and I have not discussed this, but if I may, an alternate title I might give this movie is Pleasant Surprise.
Yeah, actually, I mean, just to give even more personal context, you and I kind of saw this last minute.
Yep.
It's a last minute decision. And so I was like, oh, all right. Like I had some interest in it. I knew I'd get to it someday, but it became like, we're doing this tonight. And then when I walked out, I was like, I'm glad I caught that.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was one of those things where, we were planning to discuss something else, and I had not seen that other thing either. And I told Brian, I was like, I gotta be honest, I'm in the mood for something a little more larky, And so, indeed, on a lark, I decided to catch this. And I snuck away, and the best thing I can say about this is it worked for me on a similar level as when you and I watched Novocaine together.
Sure.
Where it's not, it's something that you're just like, you're like, hey, let's go see something. Oh, this is here,
Totally.
And you are. I mean, they're very different movies.
I was going to say, I would say that there's more to this movie than to
for
Novocaine.
Sure. But in the sense of, it felt to me like a throwback to the time when going to the movies doesn't have to be an event. It's just you go to see what's out.
Totally. I mean, this movie is a throwback in so many ways.
Yeah, well, and if I may, the movie itself, it is set in 1998, and that felt so appropriate to me because it reminded me of the type of movies I would have gone to watch in 1998.
Yeah, this is like a long lost late 90s like violent romp.
Yes. Yeah, know. And so a couple of thoughts I had, and we'll get into the story, but I was like, I don't know how it's doing in theaters. Actually, I haven't even looked at the box office, but I'm glad it's not a streaming movie.
Oh, 100%.
Right.
Yeah.
It really does benefit from having a theatrical platform. The other thing is this stars Austin Butler, and he's sure making a go of having a Leonardo DiCaprio, post Leonardo DiCaprio career.
What do you mean by that?
Like in terms of the choices he's making, right? He could have leaned hard into franchise pictures.
Yeah, sure.
And I do appreciate that he's trying to do more interesting stuff. I think this guy's got the goods, honestly. I think I'm really looking forward to seeing him progress as an actor, because I think just based on the things I've seen him already, he I mean, between this and Bike Riders, honestly, I'm like, God, this guy he's got presence. He's very talented. And just seeing him silently contemplate is interesting.
See, I couldn't disagree more.
Really?
No, I'm just kidding. No,
as soon as he said that, a whole bunch of people listening leaned forward.
I thought you were going to know I was joking right away. No, I completely agree. And I think I've always liked him. I haven't seen him in anything I haven't liked. But this, I do feel like, is the movie that's put me over the top with him.
Yeah.
Because everything he's done previous to this has been kind of big. Well, not necessarily Bike Riders, but like, Dune Part 2,
sure,
Elvis, like those
Certainly
are big performances, and he's playing these different sorts of characters. But here he's playing an everyman.
Yeah.
And to your point, he's very interesting to watch.
Yeah.
And he goes, what I didn't expect and what I alluded to earlier is this isn't just like a guy finds a thing and then there's guns and then it's over. Like he has an arc in this.
100%. Yeah.
Right. And there's like a really interesting backstory to him. He's an interesting guy.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that succeeds because of Austin Butler.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Roger Ebert used to refer to bruised forearm movies.
Yeah.
And they're the ones where you're watching it and it's so intense that the person sitting next to you is digging into your forearm,
Right.
This was a prototypical bruised forearm movie.
Yeah.
In that I don't know whose forearm was more bruised, mine or Ominous.
Sure.
Because there's points where literally I'm like,
yeah, I had a couple of those too. Yeah.
and I'm like, if a movie's making you do that, it's doing something right,
Yeah, I had my theater was, I would say, like a third full-ish,
okay,
if that. But I'm the type of guy, like I get really into it. I cry, I laugh, I go, "Ugh!" And like I was sitting by myself at the end of this row, and there's people in my row, and occasionally I'd go, "Whoa," or like, "Ow," or something like that. But I mean, people would laugh occasionally, but I think I was the only one that was making like noises.
Every time Austin Butler was on screen, were you like, damn?
Yeah, that guy's done some push-ups.
That for those of you who are like, what is that a reference to? Back when I watched Fantastic Four, the 2005 movie, there was somebody in our screening who was very enamored of Jessica Alba, and he made sure to let the entire screening room know. Right. Every single time she was on screen.
That's so funny. I love that guy lives on.
He is immortal.
Yeah.
So honestly, here's how little I knew about this movie going in.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until the credits rolled that I was like, oh, Darren Aronofsky directed this.
Oh, interesting. No, I'd seen this trailer many times.
I have seen it 0 times.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I went in knowing nothing, absolutely nothing other than Austin Butler is in it.
Oh, wow. I mean, did you even know the tone? Like it's kind of a Guy Ritchie sort of feel?
All I knew is that it involved stealing and presumably being caught.
Oh, wow. What a fun way to, tell me about that a little bit. I mean,
the best way to watch, I would say, any movie, but certainly a movie like this, because I have no idea what to expect,
I agree. And just to tell a really, really quick anecdote, I remember, because I go to test screenings a lot, or at least I used to. And when you do that, you're seeing a movie that hasn't been released yet and most likely doesn't have a trailer out yet. And my friend and I saw this movie, Jason Reitman, Diablo Cody thing called Young Adult with Charlize
Yes,
Theron.
that's right.
And we saw it and we were like, what a great movie. It's a dramedy. It's, it's got it's funny in some parts, but it's very sad in other parts. And we were like, what a great film. And then it came out and it was sold as a comedy through the trailers. And I kept hearing people disappointed because it wasn't what they thought it was going to be. And I thought, wow, isn't that funny? It just made me think it would be amazing if we could all go into things knowing the least amount of information as possible and just take it on its own terms. And I wonder how much a different experience we would have if we weren't like, oh, that wasn't what I was expecting based on the trailer,
Yeah.
I would say the trailer sold this pretty well, though.
Yeah, no, yeah. I went back afterwards and I watched the trailer.
Right. I mean, yeah, it kind of captures the spirit, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I think for me, this is a movie. I think it really did benefit from the theatrical experience. I suspect it'll do better once it hits streaming. Probably. Again, I don't even know how it's performing. Actually,
not great.
Oh, is that right? No.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jaws beat it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh. Well, Jaws, actually, we didn't mention it, but Jaws did shockingly well in its re-release. It came in second place, I think, which is amazing. Right? For a re-release that's 50 years old.
Yeah.
But, well, real quick, just so people know what we're talking about, if they haven't seen it, this off IMDb, the summary is: burned out ex-baseball player Hank Thompson unexpectedly finds himself embroiled in a dangerous struggle for survival amidst the criminal underbelly of 1990s New York City, forced to navigate a treacherous underworld he never imagined. And I would say, for me, this felt like, it reminded me of early Guy Ritchie.
Yeah, oh, very much so, yeah.
Like mixed with the Coen brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Like a little less quirky than Guy Ritchie, a little bit, and a little more grubby than the Coen brothers.
That is a perfect description.
Right?
Yeah.
Thank you. Like it's got quirky characters, but they're not as cartoonish as some of the early Ritchie stuff. There's like convoluted run-ins, people out of their depths, random violence.
I think the key thing is that there are quirky characters, but not so quirky that you're ever not aware of how serious the stakes are.
Totally, because I think post Pulp Fiction, there were all these movies like Eight Heads in a Duffel Bag and something about In the Valley. I don't even remember anymore. But it was like everyone was like, how can we out-quirk one another with these hitman types? You know, and they were almost like violent cartoon characters. And I thought this did a great job of making very memorable antagonists, but they didn't cross that line into being sort of like, oh, this is like some sort of Tarantino riff.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think honestly, what helps enormously is that the story felt to me like it was built, from the character out. So you have a very interesting sort of cat and mouse scenario. But I mean, ultimately, kind of this is what we were alluding to before. Hank Thompson, played by Austin Butler, to me, I found the character interesting, and the way the movie alludes to aspects of his past was such where I was like, I want to know. I'm like, give me more, tell me more, right? And that's the trick. And once the speaking non-spoilery, he is somebody who he had aspirations of playing pro ball, and something happened that prevented that. And I think the way that information is parceled out is incredibly effective. In terms of at any given moment, they give you just enough to make the next moment meaningful.
Totally.
And then the next time they give you a little bit more just to make the next moment meaningful,
Yeah. Good point. Yeah, because it really does tie into the plot and his, like as we said earlier, like his growth, his healing. Yeah. It's not just a detail and why he's wearing, a Giants hat.
Right. Yeah.
Like it's a big part of the story. Which is I just felt like it felt refreshing, something as textured as this for being such a fun, violent romp. Right?
Yeah, very much a throwback to that era, right?
Yeah.
Where we'd see stuff like that. I think what helps is, in addition to Butler, who I think very capably commands the center, but you've got a constellation of great supporting players. Zoe Kravitz, Regina King, Vincent D'Onofrio, Liev Schreiber. I mean, you name it. Like they really sink into these terrific character parts, and it enriches the journey.
Yep. Matt Smith, doing something. We were just talking about Matt Smith a couple of weeks ago. Yep, that's right.
In our Terminator Genesis commentary, and I think you said something to the effect of like, you always hear people have such affinity for Matt Smith, and yet it feels like he's never really, like, the movies haven't really done him any favors, right?
Well, yeah, it's specifically, I find a lot of times with those sorts of actors, there's a role where they really shine, and then people get endeared to that person, and no matter what they show up in, they are still carrying whatever it is that they had from that previous experience with that person and loving them moving forward. And with Matt Smith, I never watched Doctor Who, and I had never really seen him in one of the roles that really connected, that where everything aligned with him and he was perfectly cast for it or whatever. So like when I see him in like the Terminator film and people are like, oh, Matt Smith, like I wasn't bringing anything. So I've only seen him in, or like last night in Soho, he's pretty memorable, but not, again, I wasn't bringing that extra something that everyone else is bringing when they see him.
Right.
And, but I do have to say, I thought he was really good in this. I mean,
it's a lot of fun.
He starts as kind of a big character, but he gets to play that person at several different speeds.
Yeah.
And I found that kind of compelling. And even like, there's one moment where I was like, oh no,
right?
which I was unexpected,
Right.
So it's, like you said, it's a constellation of talent here.
There is, and this is not a spoiler. They're alluding. What I was alluding to before, the bruised forearm. There is a bit where Austin Butler's character is descending a fireplace,
or fire escape. Yeah.
sorry, did I say fireplace? Yeah, fire escape.
Yep.
From the outside of his window, and he's
Yep.
like peeking into a window and doing this whole thing, and then he's trying to get into, and literally, I'm like,
Dude, yes. Same. I think that was one of those, oh no, 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 no.
and then there is a terrific chase sequence, foot chase, where Austin Butler is being pursued by these two Hasidic mobsters, you know.
Yeah.
And it's a terrific sequence, and it's so high tension.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I'm like, this is like old school, French Connection style filmmaking.
You know what I loved? Yes. And it did still bring in like some modern 2025.
Yes.
What's capable now, but it didn't. It all felt perfectly blended together.
That's the thing, right?
Right.
I saw an interview. Sorry,
Yeah.
I saw an interview with Aronofsky. He talked about incorporating drone footage and things like they actually had to do digital touch-ups to make the New York streets reflect what they looked like, back in the late 1900s.
Yeah. Well, that's weird when you put it that way, but yes. Yes.
Right. And so, but it's not intrusive.
No.
And it does the trick,
It literally does feel like a lost 90s movie in the best way possible. Down to, there was a moment where, it's very grainy. And I did wonder if that was something they did digitally or if they actually shot on film. I have no idea. But I loved it. And there was like a scene where it almost felt like a real change. And he's walking down the street and the color was bad. Like it looked too red. And I was like, did they do that on purpose? Like they're making it look like a older movie but not in an aggressive, distracting way.
Right.
It just kind of felt like a lost 30-year-old film. And I thought it was brilliant. I was just like so delighted at the choices with the color timing. And some of it looked extra faded. But at the same time, so that's funny, doing that mimicry. But then there's a moment where there's an exchange happening at the World's Fair area out in New York. And this drone goes through that globe.
Yeah, right. I noticed that.
Yeah, which could look a little distracting or showy or something, but it didn't at all. I just was like, whoa, awesome.
Yeah, it's just a cool shot.
It was perfect. The old style and the new style blended together wonderfully. I mean, Darren Aronofsky.
Yeah. Yeah, at least for me, it was just a very pleasant surprise. And you telling me it's not performing is not terribly surprising, but it is kind of disappointing.
I know, because you put it so well. This is that movie, and I know viewing habits have changed, but this is that type of movie where you think, all right, it's Friday night. What are we going to go see?
Yeah.
And so you give a movie like this a shot.
Exactly.
Right. And I mean, I put it out there. It is pretty violent. So if you don't have like the tolerance for that kind of thing, that's good to know. But I don't know. This is that movie you wish people would go discover and then tell people about.
It really, I mean, it reminded me of in the late 90s, when I used to work at COD, and, our group of friends, every Friday, we would just go to the Cantera.
Yeah.
And see what there was.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how we'd end up, I've told the story before. We ended up watching The Sixth Sense. We had no idea, but that was the only thing there was tickets available for.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that. And so, I mean, it's a throwback to just an era of film going that is maybe just gone now.
Yeah. Yeah. But, or this will be that thing that, you're scrolling through Netflix and the tile comes up and 15 seconds of this movie plays, and that's how someone will eventually.
But I do think, if nothing else, I mean, I think that this is a good calling card insofar as what Austin Butler is capable of.
Totally.
So he's going to come out looking pretty good on the other end of this. And that's why I was making the DiCaprio comparison. Because it really feels to me like he's plotting a career along a similar trajectory.
Sure.
Where he's choosing filmmakers as opposed to franchises.
Right.
And I think that's gonna. I mean, look at he worked with. Why did he do Dune? Because of Villeneuve. Why did he do Bike Riders? Because of Jeff Nichols. Working here with Darren Aronofsky. I mean, it's a smart choice. Baz Luhrmann.
Totally. Yeah, totally.
Right.
Yeah. Well, real quick, I think it's worth talking about a couple spoilers real fast.
All right,
but
let's do it.
I just want to call out while we're talking about Darren Aronofsky. I mean, what an interesting filmography.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, going back all the way to Pi, Requiem for a Dream, but then you also, I kind of forget, the Fountain, but even like The Wrestler. You're like,
I forgot about The Wrestler, but you're right. Yeah.
Black Swan. Like he's just an eclectic. Well, in Mother recently, which I didn't even watch because I thought it was going to be too intense. I just couldn't find the mood for that one. But like, it's just, I don't know. It's just very varied, and I think that's very cool that he's Noah.
Yeah.
It's
Noah,
cool that
about Noah,
right?
Yeah.
It's cool that he's been able to do these things, and then this doesn't feel like any of the ones I've mentioned before.
Right.
But it's certainly made with a very capable, skilled hand. I mean, that's evident when you watch it. So,
well, and the other thing is this: just the budget for this one is $40 million.
I'm chef's kissing over here.
Right. Like I was like, well, that's about what you want to spend on this, because even if you don't end up making it back, like you'll probably be okay in the long run.
Right.
And you're not blowing through so much of the studio's money that they got their mitts and everything.
Mm-hmm.
You can make the movie reflect your sensibility and your intentions, and I think that means more ultimately.
Mm-hmm.
Because I do think I suspect this one will have something of an afterlife.
I think so.
Yeah,
and also I want to be sort. Excuse me. Really got something in my throat today. I want to make it clear too that not that we think this is some sort of elevated masterpiece either. Like, this is just like a cool throwback flick. This is a flick.
It's a flick. Yep.
And
that's exactly it.
Right. And quoting someone else who was quoting something they saw on Twitter, it's a 5-star, 3-star movie. And I was like, I love that. Totally. And like, that's something you want to watch sometimes on a Friday night. And this is a well done version of that. And like we said, it really does dig into character. And I found that it didn't even have to do that. I can imagine the version where it doesn't. But that's why this movie rises up.
Okay. So yeah, you just said the thing I was going to say. Like, it would have worked just fine at the level it was at, but I think the specific arc that it gives Butler's character, to me, made it something where when it ended, I'm like, that was good,
Yeah.
And because that's the stuff that sticks with you,
Totally.
So yeah, you wanted to talk about some spoilers?
Yeah, just a couple real quick.
Spoilers.
So we are in spoilers here. So if you're going to see this, pause. I was shocked when Zoe Kravitz was killed.
Oh, dude. I thought it was a dream.
I didn't know what I thought. I was like, oh, maybe she just got hit on the head. There's some blood. But then when they went there was part of me that was not angry, but I really felt a strong feeling about it.
Yeah.
But then there's another part of me that kind of respected it, because that's the game he's playing here. Like, people don't get conked on the head and then they're just like, okay, because that's what we want to see them ultimately end up together at the end. Like, no, he's playing a very dangerous game here.
Yeah.
And no one is safe.
And she's a big enough name that you don't expect her to be offed so soon into the story.
And she's featured very prominently.
That's right.
Up until that moment. And so I was shocked, and I can't say I even loved it, but that's why I think it worked, because I didn't love it.
Yeah.
The cat was, you have a cat. I mean, could you imagine Jonesy performing like that for
when we see the cat with his little cast or this little bandage? I was like, oh no, little buddy.
Yeah.
It made me so sad. The other thing well, first of all, the whole movie, I'm like, the mom is somebody. She's got to be somebody.
Yeah. I was trying to figure it out. Yeah.
I was like, she's got to be somebody, because the way they're holding back, and I was so just tickled by it being Laura Dern.
Yeah, that was a nice surprise.
And it was just like a little thing, didn't even need to be there, but I loved it. But the whole running backstory with regards to Hank having the accident he got into, and the way it's depicted, I mean, it's just horrific,
Yes.
The first time we see him heading right towards that post,
Mm-hmm.
and you're just like,
Mm-hmm.
But what I really loved was when he calls his mom, and he's like, it's like the first time in his life he's taking ownership of what he did.
Yep. I love that scene.
Right? Very, very profound and so meaningful for the character.
Mm-hmm.
And it really makes the difference because you recognize, like, what he says, he's like, all I cared about was my knee. I didn't care about how I got my friend killed.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then at the end of the film, when we get not at the end, but when he realizes that the Hebrews have, they're the ones who killed Zoe Kravitz's character.
I was thinking like the movie was winding down.
I know.
And then when he pulls out that cigarette lighter with the gun, I was like, no.
I know. That's good. And I love Vincent D'Onofrio in the back. Like he's ready to pull his gun out because he thinks, right. And then he, but what I like was how it signifies this is Hank being like, look, I'm willing to die now.
Mm-hmm.
That's his full circle moment. The fact that he doesn't die is irrelevant to the fact that he was willing to.
Yep.
To sort of to exact some virtue of justice for what was her name? Yvonne?
Yvonne, yeah.
Yeah.
And I love also, it was such a good, they're setting it up a little bit when, they didn't want to drive. And so he's driving, but he doesn't want to drive. I love that detail where he moves from California, like car central to New York, where you can exist, or at least New York City, where you can exist without a car. And he's running as far away as possible. So him not wanting to drive is a really compelling, like you feel it when he's like, no, I don't want to drive. When he says that to Matt Smith. And then when he's forced to drive here and he's like, put on your seatbelts. Yeah. I didn't even look at that as foreshadowing for anything. Yeah, it just made sense as a character that he's like extra cautious. And like, if we're going to do this at all, put on your seatbelts. But then when it dawned on me what was about to happen, where he's going to slam into a pole again, pull his move. Yeah. I was like, oh, that's good. That's good. They're not belted in.
I have to say, by the way, I loved Liev Schreiber.
Yes, yeah.
Like Vincent D'Onofrio, I'm just used to him playing this variety of characters, but this felt very different for Liev Schreiber.
Yeah, different speed for sure.
And
their mom.
It's very funny because I mean, obviously he's Jewish, so he's able to bring authenticity, but this could have very easily become like Rabbi Krastovsky,
Totally.
He didn't do that. The other thing is that guy. That freaking guy, that asshole, the bald asshole.
Yes.
Who's like a freaking dog,
Yeah.
Microbe, I think that's his name.
Microbe, yeah.
First, I love that little detail where he steals Hank's hat.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Just because he's a freaking cock, right?
Yes.
And then that becomes this great thing where he's at Shea Stadium and Hank is able to use that as a way to throw them off his trail.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, that guy, that Giants fan said the Mets suck.
Yeah.
That's great. But what I loved is that guy was like vicious, right, throughout the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But he turns out he's got a glass jaw because it just takes one shot to just knock him clean out.
Right. That was so satisfying.
It was very satisfying, right? This is a true righteous vengeance type situation, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing, I have to say, I pegged Regina King as a heel very early on.
I did too, and I don't remember what it was, but there was something.
For me, it was when that guy, the Columbus, is that his name? Colorado.
Oh, Colorado, yeah.
Colorado. He's like, oh, you called that lady cop. Don't do that again. I was like, how would he know that?
Oh, interesting.
So that was my red flag. And then when they were in the diner, I was like, she's bad.
Yeah. But she was good. She was good.
She was good bad.
I liked Matt Smith, actually. This might be my Matt Smith moment. Him playing the neighbor because, he's leaving in a hurry. And it seems like they have a unique camaraderie that's not entirely like they really like each other, but they like kind of are like neighborly enough. Right. Him and Austin Butler's character. And so then when he comes back, And Austin Butler thinks that him leaving was some sort of like ruse, or he left because his dad had a stroke.
That's right.
And he calls him out about it. Like, this whole mess is because of you, and you made up this, thing about your dad.
Mhm.
And then he immediately, Matt Smith pulls down his shirt and shows that he has the word dad tattooed on his chest. And he's like, no, that was real. Like, my dad died, you idiot.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, oh, like that.
Right.
And it makes that guy more interesting.
Yep. And then he has that brief heel turn after.
Yes.
And you're like, oh.
That's what I was going to say. Because then they go in the locker, and it feels like maybe they can sort of team up in some sort of way. But yeah, then Smith turns on him.
Yeah.
And then when he banged his head, there was something satisfying about it. But then I was also like, ugh, this makes me feel gross. You know what I mean? Like, it was just such a realistically violent moment that was sort of off-putting in an interesting way. But then he comes back, right? Yeah. And then the fact that the baseball bat to the head. Yeah. Usually in a movie, it's like, people get like shot and stabbed and whatever. And then by the end of the movie, they're like skipping off into the sunset. But that hit to the head is what ultimately kills him. And he has that moment where he's walking to the public storage place and he stumbles because he's suffering from the concussion. And I just so much more texture to this thing than I expected. And I really appreciated that. And then him ultimately dying on the subway was kind of sad, even though he was a complicated,
it was sad,
mostly kind of an annoying character.
Well, I see what I like is how it illuminates our main character, right? Because he had every reason to just leave him there. And he doesn't, I mean, I think what the movie is at pains to show us is that Hank is a decent guy. He's in a not great situation, but he's at heart basically a decent guy.
Yep.
And that was something that I did appreciate.
Totally. I mean, all the stuff they gave him, the baseball stuff, but we haven't even mentioned the alcoholism.
Yeah.
Which it's very subtle. It's like some movies you can imagine where it's just, he's got like the beer in his toilet tank and he's got the and they kind of make a thing out of it. But it's just, I clocked that he was drinking a beer at like 11 in the morning and thought that was kind of weird. But then when he loses his kidney and it's like, oh, you have to stop drinking. And then you realize he has that stuff all over his apartment, and it becomes a real thing for him to also have to, battle throughout this movie.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know.
It's effective to the extent that, when he goes to ask his boss for help and then he just gets shit-faced.
Yes.
Definitely, you're like, oh no, don't, oh no, not more,
Yeah, I actually thought of that. I know I've said this on the podcast before, and I don't remember what movie it was, but there are movies where you see people drinking, you're like, I want to drink. And then there are movies where people are drinking, you're like, I will never touch alcohol again.
This is the latter.
Yeah, definitely. I was just like, no, don't do it. Don't do it. And it was making me like, I don't want to touch alcohol.
So here is a question I had. And Ahmed and I had the same question, which is there is a scene where, he's in the bar with his boss. And then they go into the safe, right?
Yes.
And he pulls out a shotgun, and then they lock the bad guys out, right?
Yeah.
Boss dies. Hank is trapped in there, and then we cut to him walking out.
Yes.
Did I miss? How did he get out?
Well, I did find that a little confusing because they leave.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, they literally left, and I remember. I mean, I was paying attention, but I feel like I missed why they thought they wouldn't wait it out.
Yeah.
Because then they're like, okay, well, we'll meet you again or something like that. Okay. And I wasn't
totally missed that.
Yeah, I wasn't quite understanding the motivation behind that. But yes, they end up leaving and he waits a minute and then he exits.
Okay. So I would call that maybe not executed to the best of.
Yeah. I mean, I would have to see it again to fully.
I thought the cut was so abrupt. I thought that they were going to give us a flashback in a second and show us what happened,
Right.
But that actually makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say about caught stealing?
No, just, I'm glad. Well, you mentioned, just the perfect movie to discover in a theater. And I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's just, I imagined I would catch this at some point. I didn't have plans to see it in the theater. And I know it's not easy for everybody. So acknowledging that, but it is just so fun and delightful to just walk into something that isn't exactly on your radar, but you're like, let's give this a shot.
Yeah.
And seeing it where the world is shut off, you're in a dark room, you're not looking at your phone, and you're just jumping into something unexpected and you don't know where it's going. I think it's worth mentioning that this is based on a book by Charlie Huston, and he wrote the script for this also. And it feels like a book in that way, where it's a very Shaggy Dog tale. Doesn't, feel like a precise movie structure. There's just a lot of stuff, a lot of characters, a lot of twists and turns, a lot of things going on. And it's just so fun watching something where you don't know where it's going.
Yeah.
In the ultimate way to experience any story, in a dark movie theater. So I'm glad we wound up doing this one.
Me too. That said, based on the box office, I suspect for many people, this one will be caught streaming.
As I say, enjoy it on the airplane or in the comfort of your living room.
Enjoy it on Vudu in 8 days.
Yeah,
probably. Nobody too. That's already on streaming.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. But hey, let us know your thoughts if you have any. If you do end up watching this, or we'd love to hear what you have to say about anything that we said during this episode. You can email us at moviefilmpodcast@gmail.com. You can also hit like on our Facebook page, facebook.com/moviefilmpodcast, and message us there. As always, please go to Apple Podcasts and leave a review, as well as on Spotify. We're also on YouTube if you want to hit that subscribe button and hit like. Also, any comments you leave there, we will certainly do our best to read here. Hey, Brian, we also have a Patreon page.
That's right. If you head over to patreon.com/moviefilmpodcast and hit the subscribe button for only $5 a month, you'll find every commentary we've ever done and every episode moving forward absolutely ad-free. Our free feed will always be available, but this is our way of providing what we believe is the most satisfying way to enjoy the show. So no random interruptions or ads butting into the conversation. Plus, your subscription goes a long way in helping to support us and helping to sustain producing this show. So if you're interested and able, please head over to patreon.com/moviefilmpodcast and subscribe. We'd be very grateful.
There we go. And if you're looking for me online, you can find me on social media at Zacky's Corner. That's ZAKIS Corner. You can also read my reviews at the San Francisco Chronicle and The Wrap, and also occasionally at IGN. What about you, Brian?
You can find episodes I've written of Puppy Dog Pals and Young Jedi Adventures streaming over at Disney+.
There we go. And with that, on behalf of my partner, Brian Hall, my name is Zachy Hassan. This has been Movie Film 325. We'll catch you next time. Thanks, folks.
Welcome, friends, it's the Movie Film Podcast. Enjoy the show. Zachy and Brian are talking about movies. Movie Film Podcast on the radio.